Good evening. Welcome to this candidate forum for mayor and trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow. My name is Susan Maggiato, and I'm president of the League of Women Voters of the Rivertowns. I apologize for the delay in the start of this. We had some technical issues, but now we're on track. We're starting about 15 minutes late, so we will extend our timing 15 minutes. Tonight, we're beginning with our mayoral candidates, and that forum will end shortly after 7, and it will be followed by the trustee candidates at 7:15. First, a word about the League of Women Voters. I'm sure you know the League is a voter service organization, and indeed we are. That's been our mission since our founding in 1920 after women got the right to vote. But we are also an advocacy group. We lobby our legislators and take positions on public policy issues at the local, state, and national level. So in that sense, we are political, but we are staunchly nonpartisan. That means that as a league, we never support or oppose candidates or political parties. The league is fully committed to ensure compliance in principle and in practice with our National League's diversity, equity, and inclusion policy. And membership in the league is open to everyone 16 years of age or older. A word about the recording policy that all the candidates have agreed to. Only the entities authorized by the league may record or live stream this forum, and only licensed media, which includes TV, radio, and newspapers, are entitled by FCC regulations to air portions of the recording. Anyone else who broadcasts or streams it must do so in its entirety. This is to ensure that the content of the forum will not be manipulated in any way to create false or misleading impressions of any candidate. The forum is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on the League's YouTube channel, LWV Rivertowns, and the link will also be on our website and social media. There is no audience participation tonight. The questions the candidates will be answering were submitted by members of the Sleepy Hollow community ahead of time and reviewed by a committee of league members. Our moderator tonight is Rachel Kravitz-Boyle, and in keeping with league policy, she is not a voter in the district. Ms. Kravitz-Boyle is a resident of Ardsley and a member of the Rivertowns League. Our timekeeper is Lisa Wilkinson, a resident of Hastings and also a member of the Rivertowns League. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to the moderator, Ms. Kravitz-Boyle.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me moderate. We're going to start with the mayoral forum. Tonight, there are two candidates vying, Jim Husselbee and Marjorie Shue. They were going to be answering questions in this first half. Following the mayoral forum, we will be joined by the 6 candidates for trustee. I'm just going to go over some rules for everybody, which we've already discussed with the candidates. Each candidate will have the opportunity to make a 2-minute opening statement and a 2-minute closing statement. For each question, they will have 1.5 minutes to answer each question, and they were allowed 2 30-second rebuttals. The timekeeper will notify the candidates when they have 30 seconds remaining. Candidates can finish their sentences when they're speaking, but then I will stop you as soon as you're done with that. We just ask that there's respect and civility among the candidates. The order of the opening statements was drawn by lot before the meeting. The closing statements will be in the reverse order. Candidates will answer questions in a rotating order. The questions have not been provided to the candidates in advance. And just a reminder that there is no campaign materials visible during the forum. Candidates must remain on camera during the forum and on screen at all time. No coaching is allowed. The candidates have agreed to these ground rules. With that, let's begin with the opening statement. Marjorie Shue is going first.
Good evening, I'm Marjorie Shue, candidate for mayor of wonderful Sleepy Hollow. Let's make our village even better for everyone. We moved here in 2014. My husband works at Regeneron. I had returned from Singapore after serving as Singtel CTO and an executive at Verizon. I drove for the Sleepy Hollow Ambulance Corps and later chaired the planning board, helping transform Edge on Hudson into hundreds of homes, DeChicos, and our beautiful Riverwalk. I spearheaded building our new Barnhard Community Food Garden. I just like getting things done. So I'm running to deliver a higher quality of life for families, seniors, young people across all neighborhoods. My top priorities are number one, a vibrant, walkable downtown. Our small businesses need stable revenues. Tourists should spend their money here. Absentee landlords can't treat our village as a tax write-off. Second, fiscal sanity. No unnecessary debt and tax hikes. More grants. I have commitments from Tarrytown and Austining mayors to explore cost reductions through shared services. We trust and respect our treasurer and auditors and use their audited financial reports. And third, modernize our systems. Residents deserve timely communications and online resources to get things done easily. Imagine less time wasted, less frustration facing our building department, and more time picking beautiful finishes while you're improving your home and life. As an electrical engineer with an MBA, I've turned struggling organizations into high-performing centers of excellence. I invest in people and places that inspire me, like Sleepy Hollow. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight, and special thanks to the League for hosting this important event. My community service journey began 25 years ago when I volunteered as a soccer coach, and then in 2010 when I joined the Foundation for the Public Schools of the Tarrytowns, first as treasurer and later as president. At the time, my goal was simple. I wanted to have a meaningful impact on my son's education and give back to the schools that help develop and nurture our kids. Early on, I sat down with teachers at John Paulding School to understand what they needed most. And what I discovered was striking: dedicated teachers who had been there more than 20 years, and no one had ever asked them what they needed. That experience changed everything for me. It showed me how much can be accomplished when I take time to listen, to collaborate, and to value every voice in our community. My 25 years of local community service has inspired me to run for mayor. I currently serve on the Village Board of Trustees and the Westchester County Tax Commission, and I've served on the Mount Pleasant Industrial Development Agency, the School Foundation, on the Board of Education, and more than 10 years on the board of the Community Food Pantry. During the COVID pandemic, when I was in charge of purchasing food for 700 families facing serious food insecurity. In order to ensure that we had enough food, I even had to leave my job and buy a truck in order to find food throughout Westchester, Rockland, and Bergen counties in order to meet the critical needs of our community. And this will be my commitment as mayor: active, engaging, nonpartisan leadership that listens first and brings people together. The USH platform is simple and focused. End the unjustified 23% tax increases we've endured over the past 2 years. Support responsible development that ensures Sleepy Hollow's character, promotes businesses, and allows us to repair our dilapidated municipal infrastructure so we can keep our village clean and our residents safe, and get back to community, nonpartisan community engagement. Together, we can restore trust and transparency in our village government and keep our wonderful village community moving forward, thoughtfully, responsibly, and united. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move right into the questions. Mr. Husselbee, you get to go first as you went second in the opening. And the question is the same for both candidates, obviously. What have you accomplished for the village of Sleepy Hollow that you are most proud of?
Well, I think I outlined, thank you for the question. I think I outlined some of that in my opening, but I mean, being on the food pantry for 10 years was really a wonderful experience. It's something that, I'll always cherish. We were able to feed numerous families and support numerous families in our community. I got to know a lot of the clients, many of which are my friends now. That was a wonderful experience. I go back also to the foundation. I was able to be the treasurer and later the president. We were able to accomplish a lot for our community, and we did so for all students, K through 12. It was very important that when we had programs, we made sure that all students throughout the community got a fair share of what we were able to provide. So that was one thing we wanted to make sure that the finances were really well taken care of, and that all the students were addressed and their needs were addressed by our wonderful foundation. It's one of those things. If I was looking at another community, that's the first thing I would look for, is if the community had a community school foundation. It really shows that the community cares about our schools, and we have that kind of community. And I love our community, Sleepy Hollow. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shu?
I believe in transformational leadership and tangible results. So I already talked about serving as chair of planning board. That was exciting to me because when I started, it was just all acres and acres of dirt. And now we have half half of the 1,177 homes are built. So there's hundreds of beautiful homes that people are living in. We have the gorgeous Riverwalk that is always well visited and the amazing De Chicos. I also drove an ambulance for the Sleepy Hollow Ambulance Corps. And then I rewrote the village tree code so that we're focused on more of the urban treescape. So we're having climate impact. And when I stepped off the planning board, I spoke to the current mayor and said, "Hey, I have more, capacity to make a difference in our village." I had read the comprehensive plan and knew that a community food garden for those neighbors that don't have a backyard wanted to grow food. So we just launched the Barnhard Community Food Garden, and already people are growing food and herbs and flowers, and it's well used, and everyone's very excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shu, you're going to get the next question first. Landlords in Sleepy Hollow are holding on to and not investing in dilapidated storefronts, hindering the development of a vibrant downtown. What immediate and long-term steps will you take to deal with this issue?
This is something I've talked about for years, even with the prior administration, the deputy mayor of Unite Sleepy Hollow. And now, finally, this administration is looking at a vacant storefront surcharge so that absentee landlords cannot continue to treat our village as a tax write-off. We have many neighbors that want to open businesses, wine bars, candy shops, mystical, magical stores, and they can't break through because these landlords are not allowing stores to open in their premises. So we need to give them a little nudge. Trustee Rodriguez and I have met with some of these landlords, and they're not interested in the carrot approach. I also talked to the downtown advocate for Hastings on Hudson, and Barbara has had tremendous success in Hastings, incenting landlords, finding exciting new stores and restaurants. I want to take that model, learn from it, and make it our own so that we revitalize Sleepy Hollow now.
Thank you. Mr. Husselbee.
Great, thank you. So this proposed storefront law is before the board right now. I think it's premature. We have approximately 24 vacant storefronts or vacant buildings in our community. I think roughly in line with other communities, right? And we want to try to ensure that those buildings are rented, so these folks that want to rent them out can have a place to open their shops. But we've talked to a number of the owners, and my experience is different. They really want to. They're really engaged in our community. Most live in our community. They want to have their stores rented, and they want to make money. So each one seems to have a bit different issue. A number of these vacant storefronts are part of buildings that are in need of, a lot of the buildings in our village are in need of repair. So they're not able to rent them out right now in many cases. So what they're looking to have is the renters fix the building so they can be rented. So of course the renters aren't able to commit to that kind of investment either. So what we have is folks that have invested in these properties, and they're looking to oftentimes multi-generational outlook. So they want to leave these properties to their children. They're engaged, and so it's what we need to do is talk to each one of these folks first. Thank you.
Mr. Husselbee. You get the next question first.
Great.
Edge on Hudson has only one entrance and egress for the entire complex. What will you do to address this potentially dangerous situation?
Yeah, so we have committed to investing in our village, right? The other side has said that they think they're going to wait, and when they say wait, I think they mean they're not going to do it. Because if we get started on, let's say, the bridge, which we're committed to moving forward with immediately, it's going to take several years to get started. So if we wait, that generally means we're not going to do it. So in terms of another egress, there's a preliminary design plan for a bridge over the tracks. It was the site of the old escalator that folks used at the GM plant. So we can build a bridge there. It's going to take investment. It's going to take grants. It's going to take engagement with our community leaders and our elected officials. It's going to be expensive. But we have the resources in our village, and we want to, and Unite Sleepy Hollow, and I certainly want to invest in our village. The other side has said they don't want to invest in our village. I guess they believe that it's not worth investing in our village. We're committed to beginning the design work, beginning the investment. And one of the things we've heard from elected officials, and we've heard, is that these folks don't want to give us $20 million so we can build a bridge at some point. They want to see that the village has a commitment to begin the process. We intend to begin the process right away. Design work, the sidings and the areas leading up to the bridge. So we'll start right away, and I think it's really important, and I think it'll be great for our village. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Anyone who knows me knows that I do not like to wait, and I like to get things done. So I'm not sure what Mr. Husselbee is talking about. We are absolutely committed to building the bridge for the safety of Edge on Hudson residents, also for just connecting our neighborhoods and communities together so that we have more people integrating. So we definitely want to build the bridge, and we want to make sure it's affordable. We're going to apply for grant money. It's going to take a lot of funding to get it done. What we are opposed to is taking on a lot more debt that will raise taxes in the future for young families that are trying to invest in this community and raise their families here. So we absolutely want to go forward with building the bridge for not just Edge, but for all of Sleepy Hollow's sake. So we can have connectivity, walkability, bikeability, as well as emergency vehicle ingress and egress for the safety of our new neighbors.
Thank you. Switching gears slightly here, Ms. Shu, you get the next question. Sleepy Hollow has one of the larger immigrant populations, percentage-wise, of any village in Westchester. How would you address the personal safety and affordability issues of these residents, concerns, excuse me, of these residents?
Yes, as an immigrant myself, who this is a very deeply personal issue to me. Westchester County has an Immigrant Protection Act that Sleepy Hollow has adopted. I have worked with Neighbors Link and our mayor and nonprofits to make sure Know Your Rights documentation has been distributed to our neighbors that feel at risk. We also worked up a tabletop exercise, so there's a repeatable process for us when we know that ICE is coming to our community to make sure people are informed, they have their rights known, they have their paperwork in order. We also set up that workshop in September for immigrant families. And we just want to, it's only also the values that we're present in the downtown communities. And we know that we're all working together for a better Sleepy Hollow together. In terms of affordability, very much committed to increasing affordability for all residents, especially for our own workforce, to make sure there's workforce housing for our volunteer firefighters, ambulance corps drivers, so that everyone can thrive in our village.
Thank you. Mr. Husselbee.
Thank you. We're proud to have we've proud to earn the formal endorsement of the Sleepy Hollow Police Benevolent Association, and we'll continue to work closely with the police chief and our dedicated officers to ensure that every resident of Sleepy Hollow is protected, regardless of their immigration status. And our police will not assist ICE in any civil or administrative action related to their immigration status. We have a detailed policy on our website, www.unitedsleepyhollow.com, and I invite you to go there and see that. Affordability. Well, my opponent talks about keeping taxes low. Well, they've raised their taxes an astonishing 23% in the last 2 years, right? So the TAG leadership has raised your taxes, and that's the first thing that we can do to increase affordability. I know a lot of folks that have commented to me that we have 23% tax increase is outrageous. We have almost the highest property taxes in the whole region. Raising them 23% is reckless. It was unnecessary. Let me ask you this, to residents, are you safer now that we raised your taxes? Is the village cleaner since we raised the taxes this huge amount? I don't think so. So we need to get a
I'd
better.
like to rebut.
Let him, when he's finished.
I get to finish, I think, first, right? So,
Mhm.
we need to make sure we stop the over budgeting. We've had a big problem with over budgeting in our village, and we're going to fix that, and we're going to lower taxes, and we're going to keep people safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Shu, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
I am not on the Board of Trustees. I am not the mayor. This is my first run for elected office, so I have not raised anybody's taxes, Jim. And furthermore, it is on the Unite Sleepy Hollow's watch that if you look at the audited financials, there is a deficit. We spent $4 million more than we could afford. So there's a $4 million budget gap that I have not raised taxes on. This happened on your watch.
Can I rebut? Is
You
that no?
can. The next question is about finances. I don't know if either one of you want to wait.
Okay, I'll wait.
I would, okay. So segueing very easily into the next question is, please talk about the financial issues the village is facing and your plans to address them. And we start with Mr. Husselbee.
Okay, thank you. Well, so one thing that's clear is that we've done a complete, thorough analysis of our village finances. We completed that analysis over 6 months ago. We shared it with the TAG folks and the rest of the board. Seems to me they've chose to ignore it, and it's very telling because when they talk about deficits that we're going bankrupt. That there's somehow that the village is in difficult straits. Well, I'll tell you, so a deficit is not allowed by New York state law. When she talks about deficit, she's talking about money that we've taxed village residents and we were sitting on, right? We're not spending it. So this idea of a deficit, when you hear someone talk about a deficit in a municipal village, New York village municipal context, it tells you right away folks don't really understand what's going on. The other thing is because they haven't done the analysis, I can tell you for sure that if my opponent and her team is talking about finances, they're pretty much making things up. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. They're haven't done the analysis. They said they're not going to do the analysis unless they get elected. We've done the analysis. We have the math. We've shown them the math. They've kind of come out and said that, they're magic numbers. Well, these are village numbers. We turned over everything. We're open, and so I love to hear what their policy is. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shu.
So we've done the math, and we are using audited financial reports to do our own analysis versus using Unite Sleepy Hollows, which is using the mayor's budget and is based on forecasts and not actuals. So what happened over the course of a decade plus under Unite Sleepy Hollow is they drained our unassigned general fund from $8 million to $2 million. At the same time, they took on a bond for $34 million. So while they're draining our village savings account so to speak. They're taking on all this debt. So the tax increases that our residents have experienced are directly driven by the bond that Unite Sleepy Hollow took on in December of 2020, in the most uncertain time at the height of the pandemic. So half of the budget expense increase since then is the reason is directly driven by this bond that they took on in December of 2020. The other is normal health insurance, staff salary increases. So they are directly responsible for the tax increase. And the same thing will happen again if they're reelected. They will hockey stick taxes up in the future for young families.
Thank you.
May I robot?
Mr. Husselbee. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
30 seconds.
The debt that was taken on in around 2020 was at 3%. So very, very attractive terms. Again, maybe they've done the analysis. Maybe they did it yesterday. We've asked them time and time again to share with us their analysis. We're using only audited financials, budget numbers. The audited financials are through 2024. So we're using budgeted numbers since then, the best information we've got to all the village numbers. We're not using funny money, magic numbers, as they said. They said we're going to be in receivership.
I have to stop you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question, we start with Ms. Shu. How would you balance encouraging tourism during Halloween season and the rest of the year while addressing concerns about parking, overcrowding, traffic congestion, and safety?
A lot more needs to be done. Whether we like it or not, tourists are here to stay. This is a effect of social media, and what it feels like with Jim and his incumbents is Halloween happens to us, that there's no real plan. So last year during the craft fair, traffic was snarled for hours and caused so much headache for residents. And so the current mayor got additional force involved, and traffic has been flowing much better since then. But we have so many people that want to come to Sleepy Hollow from not just greater New York metro area. I have met tourists that are coming from Mexico, from Israel to Sleepy Hollow. We're a destination. So we need to do a couple things. We need to understand how much we're spending, how much we're making, or we also need to smooth out the revenues for small business owners so they don't make all their revenues in one quarter of the year around Halloween. But how do we normalize it so that they have stable revenues throughout the year? We need to address parking so that residents have places to park, as well as tourists that we have a shuttle service that's been paid for a study by a grant. So there's a lot more promised.
Thank you, Mr. Husselbee.
Thank you. I'm really proud to be from Sleepy Hollow. And part of being from Sleepy Hollow is enjoying Halloween. And it's not for everyone a great time of the year all the time, but we're from Sleepy Hollow. We love Halloween. And so a couple of the issues I think that you asked about parking, safety, and traffic. It is the case. Last year, there was a really difficult situation in our region, actually, as a result of the traffic congestion at the craft fair. So we worked with our traffic consultant, John Hodges, who was able to, our police consultant, John Hodges, who was able to get a number of resources made available to us. As I mentioned, we have the endorsement of the police department. So we're working closely with folks from the police department the Police Benevolent Association. So we're working closely with them to ensure that we have issues addressed. I'll say that in terms of parking, we're proposing to put a level parking garage at the top of Beekman Avenue at the current municipal lot. I think that'll help a lot with traffic. It'll help with Halloween traffic, but we need to address parking. we need to keep our people safe, our residents safe, our visitors safe, our young people safe as they enjoy Halloween. I think Friday. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Who knew Washington Irving would have such an effect in 2025's mayoral debate, right? Moving on. How would you describe the various neighborhoods of our village, and how will you ensure that all neighborhoods are treated fairly on issues that impact the entire village, such as parking restrictions? Back to parking. Mr. Husselbee.
Great. Yeah. So we have wonderful parts of our village, and some of them are new. Edge is growing, brand new. Some of them have been there a long time, been here a long time. So it seems that each area, each neighborhood has its own parking needs and requirements. Sometimes even within neighborhoods, such as Phillips Manor, have needs, say, for example, near the train station. So one size is not going to fit all. We believe for sure that we need to have sensible parking rules and regulations around the village. Let me just talk about Phillips Manor and the manors for a minute. My opponent wants to change has said she wants to change the parking rules in our area. We've had the same parking rules here for 70 years. I don't know, 50, 70, many years. I don't see a need to change things right away. I think what we need is nonpartisan community engagement so that we can talk to all the residents of our village, ask them what they need, what they want, and so we can come up with a plan for each different community, and within each community, address the needs. And we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shu.
We all want the convenience of parking near our homes, and we all want friends and families, home health aides, clients to be able to park near our homes. So we need to change the code in order to accommodate residents' needs. Unlike Jim, who will do light enforcement in the manors and full enforcement in the other neighborhoods, I've helped work with our Assemblywoman's Chief of Staff to make sure that the home rule legislation to permit resident permit parking downtown will pass in January when the legislature goes back in session. We also need to empower our parking committee with representatives from all the neighborhoods to really understand the needs of all of our different neighborhoods who have unique parking needs and come up with a recommendation that they will then present to the Board of Trustees. We'll have public hearings so that it's fair and addresses everybody's needs. And we will then pass new code and have a lawful democracy if I'm elected, unlike Jim, who wants to have disparate treatment for the neighborhood he comes from.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I rebut?
Yes, this would be your second and last rebuttal.
Okay, great. So I think if you know me, I think I rely on myself for a lot of trust and integrity. The accusation that I'm going to work for my own neighborhood and not all the neighborhoods is insulting and really hurtful, actually. But beside that, I think my record has showed that I'm willing to work for the entire community. All right, so I'm working for the entire community, not just my neighborhood, my neck of the woods. Let's be real here. We're going to have a lot of parking. We can in our.
Okay.
I'm just using your words.
Wait, I'm sorry, Ms. Shu. Are you exercising your second and final rebuttal?
Sounds like it.
Okay, then we're going to move on then. Thank you. Ms. Shu, you get the next question, which is, what are your thoughts on the New York State Department of Transportation's Complete Streets Plan as it affects Broadway?
I went to the workshop that they had at the Tarrytown Senior Center. I think it's great that we've had so much community involvement throughout the Rivertowns so that we make downtown more walkable. We have this dangerous intersection between the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, the Old Dutch Church, going into Phillips Manor. We have tourists coming off of the Phillips Manor train, going all the way up to Route 9 and walking where there's no sidewalks. We need to increase bikeability. I'm a cyclist. I walk into downtown. We need safe streets. We need to make it so children, seniors can all walk to a more vibrant downtown that has beautiful shops and interesting restaurants and have more community buildings. So everybody from Edge and downtown and the Manors and Weber Park and Weber Ave all can come together safely and enjoy our village together.
Thank you. Mr. Husselbee.
Thank you. I've also attended the Safe Streets workshops with the DOT. It's been encouraging. They're really focused on this and improving our streets, and we're going to work closely with them to improve our streets, the safety, walkability, as well as other intersections and other areas of our community that aren't included in the Safe Streets program. So I think it's a great initiative, and I think we're going to make our village a lot safer, hopefully soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Husselbee, you get the next question.
Great.
Do you think there should be a year-round ban on gas-powered lawn equipment?
Yeah, I do actually. I think it's an improvement for our village. I do think we should have a reasonable ramp up for that proposal, a year or two. Other villages and communities around us have had it. I think it makes sense. I just think we got to make sure that folks can have a chance to change their equipment. They can, it's not something that I think we need to rush into. So yes, I think it's a good initiative. I think we should just have a ramp up of at least a year. Thank you.
Ms. Shu.
Certainly would like to ban gas-powered lawn equipment in the long term. Using a gas-powered leaf blower is equivalent to driving 1,000 miles in the car. So for the air quality for our children and our seniors and air quality sensitive people, it's the right thing to do for sure.
Great, thank you. Next question, we start with Ms. Shu. What do you value most about Sleepy Hollow?
I value the people, the diversity. I value the walkability. I love my immigrant neighbors. They're warm and hardworking. I love living where I do in terms of the great outdoors of, especially during the pandemic, being able to turn to the right outside my front door and enjoy the river walk, lots of Hudson River, go kayaking, go sailing, or turn to the left and go hiking in the Old Croton Aqueduct and walk through the cemetery. We have such amazing history and culture and diversity. It's a wonderful community. There's so much potential, and we can make it more fiscally stable so that we can thrive in the future, revitalize our downtown, make it easier for residents to get things done in our village, and so much talent. And so many people have said that they want to work with our slate on task forces on a variety of topics to contribute their talent and expertise to raise the quality of life for all Sleepy Hollow residents.
Thank you. Mr. Husselbee.
Sure. I'd say, thinking about it, I'd say I value most our community and our diversity. I've had a chance I mentioned the community food pantry, and working with the schools on the school board. And I've had a chance, and especially in this campaign, I've had such a great opportunity to speak with so many village residents. And it's just it's heartwarming, the kind of engagement that I've had. We're really blessed to live in a wonderful place, great place in Westchester, right along the river. We have the great open spaces. I too enjoy getting outside as much as possible. We have a beautiful, safe, and wonderful community. My friends are here. My son grew up here. Our home is here, and we love it. So I'd say the community and the diversity are the main things, but there's just so much to love, and there is so much more we can do. I'm really optimistic on our ability to invest in ourselves, fix our dilapidated municipal infrastructure, keep our employees safe, keep our residents safe. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Husselbee. What place, if any, does political party affiliation play in governing the village?
Great. Okay. So at Unite Sleepy Hollow, our commitment to nonpartisanship is in our DNA. It's all about residents working together, neighbors, not parties, to make our village the best it can be. Since our founding in 2015, Unite Sleepy Hollow candidates have been laser focused on a shared vision, guiding our transformation from an industrial town once dominated by a single corporation into an open, diverse, and sustainable community along the Hudson. Since joining Unite Sleepy Hollow several years ago, I've proudly served as a campaign co-chair, working alongside Democrats like Ken Ray, Dave Shodell, and Glenn Rosenblum, leaders dedicated to making Sleepy Hollow the vibrant, welcoming community we love today. And the commitment of the current Unite Sleepy Hollow slate remains the same: village first, always. Because when we work together, regardless of political label, we build a stronger, more united Sleepy Hollow for everyone. Thank you.
The Sleepy Hollow Democratic tag slate has spent every moment focused on local issues. Unlike our Republican opponents, we've been transparent about who we are, and you can vote for us on the Democratic line, row A all the way, or on the tag line. So we give you choices. But we're not hiding on a third-party line like Unite Sleepy Hollow. We're also the fiscal conservatives in this race. Low taxes, low debt, reasonable savings so we can pay for the things that the village needs. Sleepy Hollow can't print money the way the federal government does. We're on my watch. We're never going to throw a tarp over Village Hall. We're running for local office, not for Congress, and we are very committed to the long-term stability of our village. We want to get Sleepy Hollow off this tax roller coaster that's been architected by Unite Sleepy Hollow, and we will be working hard on day one to make sure that everybody's respected. We will fly a pride flag in June. We will respect all our immigrant neighbors and make sure they are safe. And we are going to work really hard so that we bring our community together.
Thank you so much. That was our last question of the evening. You now have an opportunity to make a 2-minute closing statement each. Because Ms. Shu went first, Mr. Husselbee, you will go first for the closing.
Thank you. It's truly been an honor to serve as a trustee on the village board over the past year and a half. And thanks to all the residents who've taken time to speak with me about our wonderful village during the campaign. I've been inspired by passionate community volunteers at Horseman's Harvest, so many folks at St. Teresa's, and great community organizations like Dare to Be Different Westchester. I've learned so much about what makes our village so special and what we need to do better. This election presents a stark choice, and I believe Sleepy Hollow voters are smart, thoughtful people who can see the difference. But I'll tell you this, as mayor, I'll do things differently. I'll fix our dilapidated municipal infrastructure, ensuring the safety of our employees while saving taxpayers millions. I'll address critical environmental threats by completing the beautiful new 11-acre park at the Common, and I will promote an open, transparent, and accountable government. My opponent and the inexperienced tag slate, preoccupied with national party politics, raising your property taxes, and turning Phillips Manor into a commuter parking lot, will, I'm sure, come up with something in the next few years. But we can and we must do better now. Our village deserves leadership that's transparent, competent, and focused on lifting everyone up, not dividing us by employing reckless, fear-mongering tactics on the village's impending bankruptcy. I'll run Sleepy Hollow the way an effective business would, and the way I learned as a finance MBA and a career tax professional, making smart decisions, planning ahead, and always keeping residents informed. Together, we can build a wonderful, well-run, and environmentally friendly village that reflects the best of who we are: collaborative, inclusive, and responsive to all residents. I believe, if you believe, as my opponent apparently does, that we are doomed to live in a leaky, dilapidated, dangerous village, I encourage you to vote for TAG on November 4th. But if you share my fact-based, optimistic vision of our future, I urge you to vote Unite Sleepy Hollow ticket, Carol, Jim, and I on November 4th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Shu.
I am an immigrant who couldn't speak English entering kindergarten and rose to become Chief Technology Officer and Chief Revenue Officer. I consistently over-deliver and will again as your next mayor of Sleepy Hollow. We need aligned leadership to make Sleepy Hollow an even better home for everyone. We want to make Sleepy Hollow less sleepy. We will bring fiscal sanity back to our village. Our opposition's singular campaign promise to reduce taxes while taking on tens of millions in additional debt will continue the tax increases in the future, and push this tax roller coaster onto young families who will bear the burden of Unite Sleepy Hollow's debt for many years to come. We will keep taxes and debt low while seeking grants to increase revenues to make things affordable and shared services to reduce expenses. We will modernize village systems, tools, and processes so it's easier for residents to get things done, to get information. This is the time to act locally. My slate and I have broad life and career experiences, live in different neighborhoods, and have successful track records across different fields. I am so excited for the next up, excellent Sleepy Hollow Democratic trustee slate you'll be meeting. They are energetic, talented, experienced, kind, driven to win and serve the entire village. Each of us has already contributed to making Sleepy Hollow better, and as your next board and mayor, our aligned leadership will hit the ground running. Please vote early, tomorrow until November 2nd, or on Election Day, November 4th. Row way, all the way. Thank you to the League for organizing this forum, and thank you to all of you for spending the time with us this evening and listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the candidates for joining us. For all the participants, please remember to stay on. The trustee candidates will be joining us in a few minutes. If you are unable to stay on for the next part of this, you can watch it on the League's website after tonight. Also remember that Election Day is Tuesday, November 4th. Early voting is ongoing through November 2nd. If you have any questions, you can always check vote411.org. You can check with the county Board of Elections website, or you can look at the League of Women Voters for the Rivertowns website. We'll be back in a few minutes with the trustees. Thank you.
Also on the HM Life Center board for a few years there. I'm currently an attorney. I practice in the area of wealth management, which used to be known as trust and estates. And what that means is that my job is centered around really listening to people so that I can research the issues that affect them and come up with solutions. And there's a lot of negotiation in there as well. And I think the best part of this campaign and the thing that's really energized me is walking around and talking with people in the village and hearing the variety of issues that they have, the things that concern them, or everything from, I'm having trouble connecting with a village employee, or how do I go about grieving my taxes, to some like easement issues, all kinds of things. And every time I hear something, I immediately go home and think, okay, how did we solve this? And so I'm super excited about researching these issues and, getting everything done for the people here who each have very unique concerns.
Thank you. And Córy Krall.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Córy Krall. I'm a lifelong Rivertown girl. I grew up in Ossining and moved to Sleepy Hollow 11 years ago when my husband and I bought our first home. We're now raising our two kids here. They're in first and third grade in our public schools. And over the past 11 years, I've made friends throughout the village, primarily through my kids, from Robin's Nest Daycare to the ASOS sideline, on the swings at Douglas Park, scootering on the Riverwalk, and by volunteering at school events. There are a lot of great reasons to live here, be it the proximity to the city or the beautiful sunsets over the Hudson. But for me, it's more than just the location, it's the people. It's all of you who make this place so special and what inspired me to run for trustee. Throughout my career in education, I've helped parents get their kids the special education services they need, advocating in both English and in Spanish. I've brought families together across New York City to fight for better schools, and I help principals and superintendents across the country increase their enrollment so that they can balance their budgets as well as communicate better with families and community members, something I also got to help our own district with through my work on a special PTA committee. All of this means that I'm an excellent listener and I can bring together different points of view to build consensus so that leaders make informed, inclusive decisions. As trustee, I'll prioritize getting the village to more frequently and effectively communicate with all residents with larger reach and clarity. I also want a tourism task force to lead a proactive approach to the Halloween season so we can capitalize on the opportunity and provide predictability for those of us who live here year round. And as our village continues its exciting growth, I want to protect the diversity and vibrancy that define Sleepy Hollow. I know that if you elect me and my running mates, will bring fresh energy, practical experience, and a deep love for this community to Village Hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates for the opening statements. We're going to move right into the questions now. We're going to start with, you all have an opportunity to answer each question. We're starting with Mr. Garvey. Landlords in Sleepy Hollow are holding and not investing in dilapidated storefronts, hindering the development of a vibrant downtown. What immediate and long-term steps will you take to deal with this issue?
Well, I think on that issue, the focus I have, and Tom and Carol might weigh in with some more immediate answers. But for me, I've spent a lot of time focusing on Halloween and how to better manage it and monetize it. Right now you see obviously a lot of cars coming here looking for parking spots. You see a lot of people getting off the trains with nowhere to go or no really direction to go. So part of our plan for the Halloween season is directing mostly walking traffic off the trains toward Beekman. There's to create a Halloween trail so that people gravitate toward both historic sites and tourist sites, and that will take them to Beekman Avenue, and that hopefully will organically grow businesses. As I've mentioned before, we found that out in Salem, Mass, by going there and seeing that over time, businesses really do grow once you have those destinations. But we've also offered a parking garage on Beekman. That's been the #1 issue with the businesses on the main avenue there. So we need to get that up and running because right now there's just no parking available downtown at night.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez.
Sure. So I've found in the past 4 years or so, and this is really one of the reasons why I left Unite Sleepy Hollow, especially after Democrat Mayor Ken Ray left the ticket, that there's a pattern of behavior that sort of dismisses expertise and best practice. And so one of the things that I was really very focused on this particular issue was, what does the New York Conference of Mayors say about this particular problem, and how do you solve it with model legislation? And so we spoke to other communities throughout New York State. We pulled up model legislation that was being offered from the New York Conference of Mayors, and we sought to adapt the legislation to Sleepy Hollow in order to solve this problem. One of the things that we're seeing is there are a lot of buildings that are being held in LLCs. So these aren't families that are owning these buildings. These are investment LLCs that are holding the buildings vacant as property prices skyrocket. This is a form of speculation that some of these businesses they're holding onto these buildings without filling storefronts, without filling the building. And so we're actually starting to see public safety issues emerge as facades deteriorate, as buildings become infested with raccoons and other animals. And so, we have to solve this problem for public safety reasons and also to make our downtown more vibrant and follow best practice while doing it.
Thank you. Mr. Triguero.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Landlords in Sleepy Hollow are holding and not investing in dilapidated storefronts, hindering the development of a vibrant downtown. What immediate and long-term steps will you take to deal with the issue?
So there's already a plan that's like starting on the board right now where the landlords are being um, pretty much prevented from doing this, or at least there's a little deterrent from it. We all know JP Doyle's. We all know Bridgeview. We all know Beekman Ale House. At one point or another, they weren't there, and we need to do exactly that. We need to provide a place for people who want to start businesses, who want to put their touch on our downtown area and become a vital part of it, which we then 10 years from now look back and are proud of. Continuing this action of just like not talking to landlords and not doing anything about it is just turning our downtown area into something that we're gonna regret later on. A definite blight right on our landmark right here.
Thank you. Miss Banino.
Sorry. Hi. Yeah, the way I understand it, based on the conversations that our team has had with landlords, is that it's very complicated in that the spaces require a lot of work to come up to code and to be able to get a tenant in there. So as much as the landlords may want to get a tenant in, they simply can't afford the construction that would allow a tenant in there. And on the tenant side, of course, they also probably don't, always have the resources to build out a space before being able to move in. So I think it's a question of really working with the landlords and, potentially with the tenants. We've talked about maybe the deputy administrator or, to the extent one is brought on, would have a role in working with businesses and potentially helping landlords and future tenants come up with solutions on how to be able to address those financial problems, because I think that's really where it is. So it's really a question, I think, of working with both and having a liaison to help them solve the problems that are keeping them from renting these spaces out.
Thank you. Ms. Krall.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of the vacant storefront legislation that the current Board of Trustees has been talking about for actually most of this calendar year. It would be a way to really both, incentivize landlords to actually and motivate them to find renters and to work with folks to fill these vacant storefronts, as well as penalize them if they're not doing it. It's not going to solve everything overnight, but I think it's a really smart first step that I'm glad the board's exploring and I wish would move along a little bit faster. I certainly, as someone, if I was in the position, I would be in favor of doing that. We also have received grant money from New York Forward to update facades on Beekman and Cortlandt and Valley throughout our downtown. And I hope that we can work with folks to get moving on actually enacting some of that. I think some is in the works, but we should do more. And in the meantime, we have this wonderful arts and placemaking committee that's been finding ways to fill the vacant spaces of our downtown with at least some temporary artwork for us to look at as well. I was really encouraged to hear that the board did purchase the vacant lots that we have on Beekman, because again, I think finding a way to use that space for parking solutions is really critical. And it's not just about the vacant buildings, it's also about the vacant lots. So I think there have been small steps and I'm hoping we can accelerate that all as well.
Thank you. Mr. Andruss.
Sure, thank you. Obviously, we all want Sleepy Hollow's downtown, mainly Beekman Avenue and the commercial corridor, to be, thriving and full of great businesses. We think of Pleasantville, we think of Tarrytown. However, I don't agree that simply one punitive rule that comes down on landlords to punish them for keeping a vacant storefront is the right way to go. What I would prefer is to have some kind of agency approach by the board. Jim Husselbee and I have actually already met with a couple of the landlords of the building owners. And yes, we learned that the issues are more complicated, than just saying that they live out of town, because this couple actually did not live out of town. They live in Sleepy Hollow. What I would suggest too is that there are other factors. One of the factors is commercial real estate taxes. So by reducing the taxes, that should help, but also parking. I spoke to a number of small businesses along Beekman Avenue and along Route 9 over the last few weeks. And when we mentioned we were going to propose a multi-story parking lot, they were absolutely thrilled. So there's more than one approach.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next question. Sleepy Hollow has one of the larger immigrant populations percentage-wise of any village in Westchester. How would you address the personal safety and affordability concerns of these restaurants? And the first to get this question is Mr. Rodriguez.
So I'm very excited that our slate was endorsed by the Hispanic Democrats of Westchester after we met with them and they asked us that exact same question. Our response is, look, there's a right way to handle this and there's a wrong way to handle it. Having the right information get out to the community on time when an ICE action is happening, for example, is extremely, extremely important so that folks can prepare and protect their families appropriately. Marjorie, in her previous statements, mentioned that we've worked very closely with an organization called Neighbors Link to set up a tabletop exercise between our police department, our administration, and folks in the community to determine what was best practice in the event that there was an ICE action. And so luckily, actually, Neighbors Link and others throughout the county of Westchester adopted that tabletop exercise as the best practice and have begun sharing that as a standard with other municipalities throughout the region, something that I think we're really proud of. I'm so proud to join such a diverse ticket here. Folks that have, like Jairo, actual management experience, working in small business in our downtown. Jairo can work with our existing small businesses to make sure that they're prepared to serve this huge surge in traffic that we're seeing and pedestrian traffic. So really excited to be working with this team.
Thank you. Mr. Triguero.
Just to piggyback off of what Jared was saying, we are all from very different parts of the village. So we have our own little networks already established. We have a direct connection to the community itself. And one of the biggest issues when all these things happen is miscommunication. So with us already implanted in all these regions, we have a direct line to the people that we are trying to protect, that we are trying to keep safe. Thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Banino.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty closely aligned on this one in terms of wanting to keep everybody safe. And to the ICE question, we've responded in the past that we stand behind the policy that's already in place, which is that the police department will not assist with administrative warrants. And I think that mainly it's supporting the police and supporting the residents. And I think that's it.
Okay, great. Ms. Krall.
Yeah, this is an issue that affects a huge portion of the population here in Sleepy Hollow and really should affect all of us. ICE has come to our community a number of times over the course of this year. I have been really encouraged by Marjorie's leadership jumping in on this issue immediately, just as a resident, partnering with Neighbors Link, as Jared had mentioned, working with our current mayor, working with our schools as well. I think we need to deepen those connections to continue to provide opportunities for our immigrant neighbors to have Know Your Rights trainings, know what to do, whether they're approached at home or at work or at school. I also think this is a place where we need to deepen the connection between the Board of Trustees and the schools in Sleepy Hollow. We actually don't have a trustee who's designated as the education liaison. Tarrytown has that, so they have someone who works with our school district. explicitly on issues that might be impact both, from both the village lens and a school lens. We should have that in Sleepy Hollow as well, for issues like ICE and others. So I would want to make sure that we have someone fill that role, and continue to find ways to support our immigrant population to feel safe here at home.
Thank you. Mr. Andruss.
Sure. Well, as a member of the board already, I'll repeat again, we do have a policy for the police department. By the way, we're endorsed by the Police Benevolent Association, so we have a good working relationship, as you can imagine, with the police department. But we have a policy that's in place. It actually mirrors Tarrytown's. It also mirrors the counties. It's been repeated earlier, and if anybody's curious what we would espouse, again, it's the existing village policy, and it's also listed on our website, unitesleepyhollow.com. But yeah, as a trustee, I commit. I think the whole slate commits to work for the safety and benefit of all of the residents and all of the business owners of our village.
Thank you. And Mr. Garvey.
Thanks. Just quickly, I'll address some of the affordability issue. I've read that, and I think I understand that over 50% of our residents are actually renters. So when you speak to landlords, the first thing they mention is the fact that our taxes have gone up so much in the last couple of years. And when taxes go up, rents go up. And that's forcing some of our residents to have to leave. So we would like our village employees to live in our village, but we've heard from our police officers, from our DPW workers, that it's very hard to afford to live here. So it's very important for us to reverse some of those tax increases. So hopefully the affordability will improve for the people that want to live here and rent here. So that's how we can help that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with Mr. Triguero. The question, please talk about the financial issues the village is facing and your plans to address them.
So there's been a lot of back and forth about this. And one of the main things that no one's really mentioning is something that Jared did briefly touch upon. We need to generate more revenue. Over just like comparing the actual numbers to like the budgeted numbers, there's a discrepancy there. So if we can do a lot of smaller projects and generate more revenue by getting more grants, by establishing all these businesses that these empty storefronts are preventing, we as a village will generate more revenue for the village itself. And that's just one of the major like aspects that I'm obviously very strongly like feeling towards. And yeah.
Okay. Miss Banino.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure. Please talk about the financial issues the village is facing and your plans to address them.
Oh, the financial, yeah. Well, again, I guess we keep coming back to taxes, but I think that's the biggest issue that we're facing right now, because it leads to a lot of confusion about a lot of different things. Obviously, we look at the numbers differently. Each side looks at them differently. And so I think it would be great if everybody could get on the same page and understand. But the way we look at it is Sleepy Hollow has a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of room for investment, and there's room to roll back the taxes. So I think from a financial standpoint, that is one of our first year goals, is to roll back the taxes by 4 to 5%. And then also to invest in these projects, including the East Parcel and the bridge that we talked about earlier. And all of these are doable because the finances, it is tax levy and it is revenue, as Jairo suggested. All of those things are important. But the village also owns a number of properties that could be sold to generate revenue. Not only does it bring in cash in the moment for the village, but it also puts them back, these properties back on the tax rolls. And so, we get income that way as well. So I think that's an important piece of our financial future, as well as obviously the grants, getting things funded that way as well.
Thank you. Ms. Krall.
Yeah, we're not in a great place financially. The last 5 years, our expenses have outpaced our revenues. If you look at our audits on the village website, which everyone should, you will see that every year, in order to balance the budget, Sleepy Hollow had to draw from its reserves or its unassigned general fund, which folks who are paying close attention to this race have probably heard a lot about. And that's not a smart way to run your village. It's putting a lot of stress on folks here. One of the reasons that our expenses have gone up so dramatically in that time span is Unite Sleepy Hollow led board in 2020 took out a massive bond of $35 million, and we're paying so much in debt servicing. So our taxes have gone up because of that debt servicing. One of the reasons our revenues isn't where they should be is because the development of Edge has been slower than anyone thought. Who among us has not had a construction project just take longer than you hoped that it would? It will get better. We're going to continue to have our tax base expand in Edge, but they're also going to need services. These are our neighbors. And so we're going to need to make sure that, our expenses will continue to be a lot too. So we're going to need some cost saving measures to make sure that we can get to a better financial place in the future. We need to look into cost sharing agreements with other municipalities. The state will give us enormous grants if we can find those. And there's interest from both Ossining and Tarrytown in doing that. So we should pursue those along with other grants to make sure that we continue to end up in a better financial state in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Andruss.
Sure. Well, I'm going to address actually the expenses, but what I would like to say is raising taxes, meaning increasing revenues from taxes, is a last resort. Last winter, when we were doing the budget, and by the way, the budget season is effectively all year long, and actually it starts in December. But last winter, when we were doing the budget, Jim Husselbee and I went through every single line item. Some of you who have seen the budget are probably saying, no way. Well, yes, we did. We went through every single line item. We came up with a plan with 47 line items to reduce the expenses, reduce the spending. And had we done that, that accounted for over $1 million of savings. Had we done that, and had we also accounted for some additional revenue that we thought would be coming in, and in fact is coming in, the taxes would not have to have been increased by 7.8%. They would have been flat or possibly even a little give back last year. So as far as I'm concerned, the problem with the finances is that the budgeting has been a problem, and we've been budgeting too high. We need to control expenses.
Thank you. Mr. Garvey?
Yeah, so our opponents keep talking about looking at audits. Well, we have looked at audits. The last audit was 2024. It's actually a year and a half since that audit. So I mean, you have to look forward, and we have a very good handle on what the budget numbers are. And the fact is that for the 5 years prior to leading up to fiscal year 24, we had 8.1 million of revenues higher than budgeted. The 2 years before 2000 or up to 2024, our budget was $1.3 million lower expenses. So there is a poor budgeting process. And the unassigned fund balance over the last 5 years, 6.1 million was set aside, but only 1.3 million was used. So they're making up the numbers that really are wrong. And our forecast. So yes, we looked at the audits, but we're also moving forward from the audits to forecast the actual results for 2025, which ended last May, and for 2026, which ends this coming May, for which we have a budget on. With that, we can comfortably say, and with the 4.6 million payment from GM settlement, that'll be over 10 million fund balance. Now, and with that, we can use a portion of that to roll back taxes, as Carol said, 4 to 5% next year, and then 2 to 3% the following year. But I think what we're missing here is a lot of talk about the operating budget. There's a lot of talk about issues that
I have to cut you off there. I'm sorry,
okay.
Mr. Garvey. Mr.
No worries.
Rodriguez.
I'll be back.
Yeah, so Mr. Garvey mentions the $4.6 million, which is part of the developer contribution from Edge. In the agreement that we have with the developer with site approval, it explicitly states that we cannot use that money to reduce taxes. We can't use it for operating expenses. It has to go into specific capital expenses that are listed actually in the agreement. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. I would just say in general, like, Unite Sleepy Hollow has been completely and thoroughly wrong just in their projections For the past 4 years, each year we budget, I have Tom kind of in my ear saying, you know, we're going to have $5 million. You wait and see, the audit will have $5 million in the audit. Well, let me just tell you what the real numbers say. Between 2020 and 2024, the general fund balance, right, the unassigned general fund balance has dropped from $7.9 million to $1.66 million. Big number, go down. We don't have $5 million in our unassigned general fund balance. So if you want to learn about this yourself, look up the audited financial results on our Sleepy Hollow Village website, and you can see that the unassigned fund balance is declining. Simultaneously, in 2020, this was mentioned earlier, $35 million was taken on in terms of debt. And the balloon payment for that debt was effectively a debt bomb that went off in 2023, 2024.
Thank you.
Yeah, may I rebut, please?
I'm sorry, who asked for the rebuttal?
Jim Garvey.
I'd like one to.
I'm sorry. Mr. Garvey, please go ahead.
Okay. So what I was trying to finish is, and you can see on our website, we've written numerous papers on the budget, on the fund balance. Please go to unitesleepyhollow.com and see our papers. It's very fact-based. But what I was trying to say is that our challenge, whoever wins this election, is the big projects that need to be completed. That's going to be very costly, right? And somewhere $60–70 million for a Continental Street Bridge, for the movement of the DPW, to update our facilities for our workers and complete the park. We need to find the resources to get there, okay? It can't come just from taxpayers.
Thank you, Mr. Garvey. Did someone else want a rebuttal as well? Okay, Miss Krall, you can have 30-second rebuttal.
Yes, 2 points. Tom mentioned that that they had tried to find ways to cut costs, and I know that Tom and Jim were advocates for cutting employee benefits. Actually, the current mayor, Mayor Martin, did cut $700,000 from last year's budget and still had to raise taxes to address the debt servicing and the huge increase in expenses. So I want to point that out. The Unite Sleepy Hollow team has brought this financial model to test it in past years. 2 years ago, their model predicted a $2 million surplus, where actually we had a $2 million deficit and still had to draw down the fund balance.
Thank you. Our next question is likely to be the last.
Lisa, Rachel, if I can, I need to rebut that.
Short, hold on, 30 seconds for rebuttal, Mr. Andruss.
Of course, it'll be quick. So what Córy was just saying simply is untrue. We did not, of course, suggest to reduce employee benefits. What we did was suggest to reduce the amount in the budget, because we had noticed in previous budgets that we were simply not spending it. So again, you were being taxed for amounts for budget items that we were not spending, which is what leads the fund balance, which again is your taxes from prior years, to go up.
But would anyone else like to exercise their rebuttal before we move on? Okay. Given the timing and the opportunity for all of you to have a closing statement, this is going to be the last question, most likely. And I think it's particularly timely. Ms. Banino will get it first. The question is, how would you balance encouraging tourism during Halloween season and the rest of the year while addressing concerns about parking, overcrowding, traffic congestion, and safety? Ms. Banino, please.
Hi, sure. I think I guess there are 2 points on this one that I would say come to mind first. I think the most effective thing so far has been our communication with Tarrytown about scheduling and trying to schedule events. I think one of the reasons that there was such a huge issue last year with the traffic was that, some of the events were consolidated on the same day. And so I think cooperating with our neighbors has made a big difference this year. I think the police have done a fantastic job this year. Their traffic plan was great. I think those things were good. To me, when I think of Halloween, the East Parcel really always comes to mind because it's going to have a big space where events can happen. It would move some of the traffic down in that area, and built out, it will have space for about 600 cars. So the parking will be significantly expanded. So moving things to that end of the village, as well as the additional parking, I think will go a long way towards helping with Halloween.
Thank you. Ms. Krall.
Yeah, I agree that things have gotten better. This year feels a bit more planned. But in general, I think Sleepy Hollow's approach to tourism has felt more like we're reacting instead of being proactive. So as I mentioned in my opening, we have a planning board, we have a zoning board, we have an LDC, we have all these ways to get really smart folks across our village engaged. I want a tourism task force that's meeting year round to be proactive about how we approach Halloween, as well as some of our other big events throughout the year. I think that this group could better coordinate events with all of the different organizations that lead them in the area, as well as with neighboring villages. They could do smarter marketing and communications as well, to both prepare residents as well as draw in folks who are coming to these events and find ways to monetize them as well. They could pursue grants or other sponsorship opportunities. We need to capitalize on the opportunity. I'd love to see this task force also take on parking and smoother traffic. Folks have mentioned tonight and in the past. Last year's craft fair debacle was really challenging as a resident. This year was much better, so we are making improvements, but it's still really hard to find parking downtown for events. And we know that there's quite the crowds who are coming in. Halloween's really important to our local businesses. So I by no means do I want to stymie the tourism. I think that our small business owners in the village need our tourists to continue to come and spend money, but we also need to improve our downtown so folks come back throughout the year and sort of flatten out the impact that tourism has.
Thank you. Mr. Andruss.
Sure. Well, I have good news. The Halloween committee is planning to be reconstituted next year. Obviously, that could be dependent on who is on the board, but that's something that's been talked about in the last few months. That was a committee that we used to have, and like I say, it should be reconstituted. So we all fully agree with that idea. Halloween committee or tourism board, kind of the same idea. But this is really all about traffic flow and parking. The neighborhood, the manors, we do not want the tourist cars parked all over our neighborhood, 10 times a year. Once or twice, fine, but multiple times, it pushes it a little bit much. We also don't want commuter cars parked in our neighborhood. That's another proposal that we've heard from the tag side. Now, what we are also proposing, as I mentioned earlier, the small businesses were absolutely delighted. A multi-story parking structure at the top of Beekman Ave on top of the existing municipal lot. That would bring about another 100 spaces. Jim Husselbee and I actually toured the East Parcel a couple weeks ago, and we were told, and we had known it already, there was going to be 600 parking spaces down there. So the faster we get the East Parcel finished, the faster we'll get that extra parking.
Thank you. Mr. Garvey.
Yes, so we touched a little bit on it before with our plan on Halloween, and again, there's a paper on our website that addresses this. Tom mentioned Sleepy Hollow Common, where we can host events there, and that will be accessible from the train stations by walkers. It can help put on events by production companies. I think first rule is the village itself should be out of the business of running events. We should hire people to have events and charge them. Right now, we're paying groups to have events in our village and losing thousands of dollars because we're not only paying, but it's costing us thousands of man hours from our DPW and from our police force. We have to set the rules and provide the infrastructure, right? So setting the rules means those who are having events, again, pay to play. For provide services, that's, as we talked about, the parking garage, the parking on the Sleepy Hollow Common, as well as satellite sites with shuttle buses. I think that's the best way to address not the overcrowding. I think we all want to have the Halloween events, but I just think we just need to manage it in a more professional way that doesn't lose money for the village.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez.
Anytime I hear a potential public official using the term pay to play, like my ears perk up. Sorry, I just had to say it. So I served on the Transportation Partnering Committee to help redesign Route 9. This project would be totally transformative for Route 9 and moving volumes of traffic while making the corridor more safe. Hats off to Jim Hodges, our police consultant, who leveraged county resources to help solve through his traffic diversion plan, crushing traffic. I just want to say 600 cars at the East Parcel, and this is where like they just don't understand planning or construction. 600 cars at the East Parcel would cover the entirety of the planned park there, which is really concerning to me because we're planning a beautiful park for that location. I started a weekend ferry service with the state of New York and New York State Parks between Haverstraw and Ossining. I want to do this in Nyack and Sleepy Hollow. So this could help alleviate some of the crush of traffic that we're seeing from the other side of the river. Also, we studied a shuttle service, found it viable, and we're seeking funding for a 3-year pilot project that would launch this on-demand shuttle service throughout the community to help alleviate some traffic concerns. So really excited to implement some of these things if I am reelected and my team comes aboard. Just one additional thing. I honestly think it's a slap in the face to all the volunteers that put on the hayride. People love this. Can I use my rebuttal? Actually, could I use my rebuttal? 30 seconds.
I would prefer you use your rebuttal after all the participants have gone.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
reserve on that. Mr. Triguero.
Yeah, so the tourism is fantastic. Our town desperately needs it. We need to extend it a little bit more. And a great way to do that is to take advantage of the train system. If we have parking in just the East Parcel, we're removing it completely from our downtown area. If we invest a little bit more in both Valley Street and Cortlandt, which that loop goes right back and forth from the train station to Beekman Avenue, we can enhance business, we can enhance tourism, we can provide more for the people, and we can also provide more for the businesses. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, you can use your rebuttal. Just please remember rebuttal is supposed to be a rebuttal and not an extension of time.
Yeah,
go ahead,
absolutely.
30 seconds.
Yeah, just responding to the comment about some of our events that are, folks put so much effort in, volunteers. We've got folks coming in from around our community to make this hayride happen. People are really proud of the hayride. I don't want to Disney-fy the hayride. It's a homegrown, well-loved tradition in Sleepy Hollow. I was, in the trucks until 1 a.m., went out with one of the last rides on the hayride, volunteering this past hayride, and I think it's a wonderful time-honored tradition, and I don't want to see it commercialized in any way.
Can I use my rebuttal as well for a brief comment?
Yes, this will be your second and last rebuttal.
Thank you. I just wanted to, in the context of pay to play, as I mentioned, right now, tourists are playing, we are paying, losing thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we need to manage that better. We need to have outside event organizers doing these things. And our opponents talk about safe streets. Does anyone really think that the streets are safe, that Route 9 is safe around this time of year? People are crossing down in Pearson, across Route 9. The police do their best. They are trying to keep everybody safe, but it's madness out there. So we have to do better.
Thank you. Good news is that I misspoke earlier, and we actually have until 8:45. Given that it's 8:05, we should be able to get in about 2 more questions before we have to wrap up with closing statements. So, thankfully, so we have more questions. The next question is, how would you describe the various neighborhoods of the village, and how will you ensure that all neighborhoods are treated fairly on issues that impact the entire village, such as parking restrictions? And Ms. Krall, you get the question first.
Yeah. It's funny that in Sleepy Hollow, every neighborhood has a name and everyone refers to it by its name, which is fun and an easy way to talk about how you get around. But it often feels like we're quite siloed as well. And so something our ticket talks about a ton is finding ways to keep the village super connected. We have this wonderful walkable village, and I don't think it should feel quite as siloed by neighborhoods. The question around parking, yes, parking is an issue in every single neighborhood in this village. We've heard it from everyone we've spoken to in this campaign. There are different parking concerns from neighborhood to neighborhood, so there is not a one-size-fits-all solution. We need both the village parking committee as well as just like some great community outreach to talk to folks across the village to understand what each neighborhood's needs are and to come up with solutions, potentially even block by block if we need to. I know there's not enough parking downtown. Many residents who live downtown can't park in front of their homes. I'm really excited that the permit parking is moving at the state level, but that doesn't help folks in different neighborhoods across the village in Weber Park and Phillips Manor and Sleepy Hollow who have a different set of parking challenges. And so there's going to be a ton of collaboration and really savvy leadership to move these things along and find solutions for each neighborhood, but we can do it.
Thank you. Mr. Andruss.
Absolutely. Yes, as Córy mentioned, we have, I don't know, 8 or 9 different neighborhoods with different names. And yes, they are, all a little bit different, which makes them, obviously different neighborhoods. But what we did, what United Sleepy Hollow noticed probably a decade ago is that there was a need to create some commonality, create some connectivity. And so we undertook back in 2018 an effort to hear from all of the residents and all of the business owners and create a comprehensive plan. That was published in 2019. And one of the main drivers, one of the main results of the comprehensive plan was to build out the east parcel into something that would be known as the Common, which has been mentioned a few times tonight. So the Common is an extended roadway that comes through that area, Clinton Street extending out to Continental Street. There's going to be an 11-acre parkland there with, a temporary parking area that will have room for about 500 cars, and additional parking by a new infrastructure, a new municipal infrastructure area that will have about another 100 spaces. So yes, there will indeed be 600 spaces. And that's going to have ball fields and tennis courts, and as I mentioned, additional municipal infrastructure. So that's the way to get the neighborhoods and get all of the residents connected, is by finishing the east parcel.
Thank you. Mr. Garvey.
I think, as I mentioned in my opening statement, the campaign has been energizing. It's gotten me out of my comfort zone. I've walked the streets of some of the neighborhoods I previously hadn't walked around too much, like Weber Park, downtown. I've spent a lot of time at St. Teresa's, meeting with the residents there. So there are unique needs, unique perspectives on each of our neighborhoods. Even though we're a small 5-square-mile village, we do have pretty unique neighborhoods there. I've lived in the 2 manors and now moving to Edge, and I think we haven't spoken too much about the residents at the Edge, who will soon be 30% of the population of the village. They have unique needs. We talked a bit, where I think the mayor's talked about the Continental Street Bridge and how important it is to have that completed. That is their number one concern. So we have to make that a priority. The United Sleepy Hollow team is really focused on listening to all residents. It's why I joined the ticket. And so I look forward to continue to reaching out to the community and solving the issues, keeping taxes or lowering the taxes so people can keep affordable, that rents don't go up. So those are really the key aspects of all of the neighborhoods that we're trying to focus on.
Yeah, Mr. Rodriguez.
Sure. So it's just so easy to sit on the board of trustees and not participate like my opponents. I'm one of the only folks, maybe in addition to Lauren Connell, that writes legislation, actually advances new initiative on the board of trustees. This is what we need to make change happen. It's really important. I served on the transportation and parking committee, even when it was difficult, right? Every neighborhood has different needs. Every street has different needs, including in Phillips Manor and Sleepy Hollow Manor. The Phillips Manor Improvement Association is going through a super tedious exercise of surveying their membership and residents there to find out what each neighborhood and what each street needs. So one size fits all just doesn't work. We're modernizing our parking system. We're working with private parking lot owners to apply the parking app to allow overnight parking and potentially share revenue with those private parking lot owners. Currently, those lots are empty all night long. not appropriate for our village. So also, I just want to say something about the comp plan. A comprehensive plan from before the pandemic and without any Edge residents present is no longer up to date, and we need to start planning again. So I plan on moving a new zoning effort and new comprehensive plan effort forward in order to get the feedback from our newest residents here at Edge on Hudson.
Thank you. Mr. Triguero.
The easiest way to have all of these neighborhoods come together is by using the other communities that are within them. All the communities that go to these businesses, all the communities that go to these different churches, all the communities that go shop at these one locations, the ones that go to these schools, the ones that go here, there, and everywhere in between. We are all united by that. We all come together because of that. We are a community through that. If we can continue that and just expand a little bit, just grow a little bit, we will just fortify those bonds like even more.
Thank you, Ms. Banino.
Sure, yeah. I think the neighborhoods are great. But I think it's unfortunate that it does feel sometimes a little bit segmented, with the neighborhoods. It's kind of fun, but also it would be nice if we could all kind of be a little more communal and come together. And I think that the place that does that probably would be Beekman Avenue, because everybody in every neighborhood we talk with thinks of Beekman Avenue as kind of the center of our village. People from Edge want to walk up and see restaurants there, and people from Weber Park and the Manors and all around Bricksville, everybody kind of, that's their focus. And so I think Beekman Avenue needs to be a big focus, and also affordability, because there is a lot of diversity, economic, generational, so much, the diversity is all around. And I think keeping things affordable is super important. And so I guess the one example that comes to mind, and I'm going to raise it, everybody's been aware of it, but I think it really shows the difference between us. Tag's team in the vacant lot that was purchased for a parking lot, and I think it was about $800,000. And now in order to get a driveway, there'll be another expenditure on top of that. And then the actual construction of the parking lot, I don't know if it's 1.5 million or it's 2 million. We're talking about putting in a structure with 3 levels, so 3 times as much parking at least. And maybe that's going to be a $3 million project.
I have to stop you there. Thank you.
Understood.
Okay, now I do think we are on our last question, but as I was just informed that it's going to impact 30% of the village going forward, I think that's appropriate. Edge on Hudson has only one entrance and egress for the entire complex. What will you do to address this potentially dangerous situation? Mr. Andruss, you get to go first.
Sure. Well, we talked earlier about the eventual Continental Street bridge, overpass, egress, whatever you want to call it. I do want to suggest to everybody who lives in Phillips Manor, in the Manors, there is zero possibility that the Edge on Hudson traffic will come out through Kingsland Park. That's off the table, in case anybody's wondering. But yes, as Jim Garvey mentioned a few minutes ago, the top priority for the Edge on Hudson residents is getting that second bridge. I mean, many of us have lived here through storms. I was here when Sandy hit. That whole area was, in a bad way. Some of it inundated with flooding. Folks who would live down there would need another way out, and the bridge would do that. That bridge was actually funded. Yeah, you heard me say that. It was funded by Unite Sleepy Hollow Mayor Ken Ray. He had an agreement from New York State for an $18 million grant. Speaking of, we've been talking about grants all night. Well, Ken Ray with Unite Sleepy Hollow had that grant. And they also, the state committed to getting us an additional $2 million, which would have funded $20 million for a bridge. When TAG came into power a couple of years ago, they threw that away. They never talk about that, obviously. They threw away the grant for the additional bridge.
Okay, Mr. Garvey.
Yeah, so I don't have much more to add to what Tom said. It's obviously, as I mentioned, the number one issue, as far as I could tell, with all the conversations we've we've had with the people that live there currently. Many of the people now have been there for 3 to 5 years. And with the ongoing construction, they're getting blocked at times from exiting the location because, certain construction projects are going on and it gets really backed up. So not only that, but I think one other thing that needs to be mentioned is the fact that in Tarrytown, we had the conversation with Karen Brown about this, about the H bridge needs to be replaced. There cannot be one egress to over the tracks between Tarrytown and Sleepy Hollow. So if the H bridge has to shut down, then there has to be at least 2 accesses from, over the tracks. So we discussed maybe working with Tarrytown on how to expedite those improvements, getting the Continental Street Bridge up and replacing the H bridge. These are very complicated things, but we mentioned before the 4.6 million from the GM settlement. Our goal is to use that money in order to start the process of building the Continental Street Bridge, to get the plans done, to do whatever it takes in order to apply for the grants. The grants aren't going to come unless we at least show a commitment that we're doing the work, do the design work, get the preliminary project going, and then apply for the grants. Because no New York or federal politician is going to really do anything unless we show that commitment. And so that is really what we're focusing on.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez.
I'm going to call up right after this. I'm going to call up my friend, Andruss Stewart Cousin. She's the Senate Majority Leader for the state of New York, and ask her where that sweet grant money is that Tom mentioned, because I don't think it existed ever. So I think the other thing that, my opponents don't know is that we do actually have an engineered emergency right-of-way into Kingsland Point Park from Edge. So in the event of an emergency, there's a reinforced roadbed that connects through the Kingsland fence. Eventually, we'd like to put an emergency access only, gate arm that comes down that would allow fire trucks and ambulance and police to come through that part of Kingsland Park. So it's already there. It's already been used several times. And we can keep using that for emergency access, not general traffic, but emergency access, I think is really important. Yes, let's build the Clinton Street Bridge. Let's, get New York State and our wonderful federal government to shower us with grant money and build that thing. But sure, let's begin the process of revisiting existing design plans that already do exist, and see what it would take to get it up to speed. So I think there's just like a general misunderstanding over how construction works and the cost of things. I heard earlier, a 3-story parking garage would be $3 million. Try $30 million and the maintenance that's attached with that. So just general misunderstanding of construction, valuations, how much do things cost and what's the difficulty of getting it done. And so, you can hear promises and sort of empty promises because we've got folks that don't know urban planning or construction industry.
Thank you. Mr. Triguero.
It's a continuing process. We keep hearing everyone's concerns. We are already in the progress of building a bridge. We can find different avenues to do other things. There's the existing emergency exit. There is the entrance off of Clinton. And there's all these other things that are being looked at and seeing if it works. Right now we have that one bridge that we're all talking about. We can continue from there, but it's going to take more time and more research. We can't just make stuff up.
Ms. Banino.
I would say that the bridge is super important. To Jared's point, we are certainly aware of the emergency access that exists. My understanding is that it may not be effective in a water event based on some of the surface being whatever. In any event, I think the people at Edge were told that they were going to get a bridge, or at least they expected it, whether for whatever reason, and they certainly came to our village in a way that warrants them receiving what it is that they thought they were going to get. And I think it's important for safety reasons. So all around would be, a priority project.
Thank you. Ms. Krall.
Yeah, I absolutely think that the bridge is critical. It's, as mentioned, not as critical for safety as it is for traffic flow and just for the general design of our village. I think completing all of the projects in the East Parcel are really important, both to Ed residents and to all of us who live here. It's an enormously expensive project, and we're going to have to phase the development of it given the state of our current village finances, but we will do it and totally committed to that. I'd be deeply concerned if the Unite Sleepy Hollow administration, who had some grant, didn't use it and said no to it. Like we need every grant dollar that we can get. So I had never heard that before, but if it's true, I would love to know more about it. Folks should look into that. But no, I certainly would support building the bridge, building the common as well. The issue will be timing and phasing. And I think that as revenue continues to increase, as we're able to cut costs elsewhere, and as we're able to afford things, we should phase in the development of every part of that East Parcel plan, so that everyone in our village gets to enjoy the bridge, the common as well. It's just a matter of timing.
Okay, thank you. Did we lose somebody? Okay. Yep. Okay. Just checking. We're now going to go to closing statements. Everyone has 2 minutes. I'm going to read the order to you just because it's a little bit different. It's going to be Ms. Krall, Ms. Banino, Mr. Triguero, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Garvey, and Mr. Andruss. 2 minutes. Ms. Krall, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you so much to the League for hosting tonight. I want to leave you all with this. I never had aspirations of running for public office, and frankly, I am reticent to call myself a politician at all. But after watching my mom win election as Ossinings's tax receiver 8 years ago, I got to see firsthand how meaningful it can be to serve your own community. And I want to do that here in Sleepy Hollow, where I live. I know that with my skill set and my passion, that I will be an effective representation of your voice at Village Hall. When I decided to run and join the slate, Marjorie was intentional about recruiting 3 young people with different backgrounds and expertise to step up and lead in our community. I'm really proud to be the only candidate in this race endorsed by Run for Something, a group that supports first-time candidates under the age of 40 and focuses on local elections because local elections really matter. A surprising and humbling part of this process and this campaigning has been talking to my own children and their friends across Sleepy Hollow about what village government can do for them and why I want to be a part of it. They may not be able to vote, but they're watching us and they're learning from us, and our decisions will impact them for years to come. Our village is at a really important moment. We are growing substantially, and your vote in this election will shape the future of Sleepy Hollow. I want the chance to represent the voices of our residents, to bring them together from every corner of the village, and for people to feel like their government is listening to them and producing meaningful results. I'm eager to work hard on behalf of each of you listening tonight or watching the recording, and for every person living in this village. If you liked what you heard, or if you want to continue the conversation in any way, please go to sleepyhollowdems.com and get in touch with us. And please, please, please come out and vote. You can vote early through Sunday. You can vote on November 4th. Your voice and your vote really matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Banino.
Yeah, I think that there's always an excitement with youth, but I think there's something to be said for age and experience. All of us on this slate have been in this town a super long time. We've experienced a lot. And I think there's something to that. To finish up my little idea on the parking lot, I just think it kind of shows the difference between our slates. A $30 million parking structure would certainly be something, but I don't think we're going to get into those numbers. To Jared's point about construction, I believe the 6468 Beekman, the part of the purpose was to cover the Morse parking, the construction there. And I can't imagine, well, in the board meetings, that's what was said. And I don't imagine it's going to be finished by in time for that. But it just shows, I think, that Unite Sleepy Hollow would be better stewards of taxpayer dollars putting that money towards a larger parking structure to me just makes more sense. And I think that shows sort of the differences between the parties. In addition, I think that United Sleepy Hollow, there's been a lot of talk about partisanship and non-partisanship, but I think that the Dems have been particularly divisive about that. And I think Unite Sleepy Hollow, following the platform set up by some of the village's top Democratic leaders, shows that we are willing to work with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Triguero.
I'd like to start by saying thank you for having us, for doing this webinar. And just as a reminder to everyone listening, November 4th, when you go out and vote, I just urge you to remember a few things. Our different backgrounds on our slate are pretty much all like the crux of our like strengths. We have different backgrounds. We come from different areas. We represent different represent different communities that like just we can showcase all of this stuff. We also have the ability to meet people, to like make connections, to start all these relationships with people that can just take us beyond what us three people on a board can do, what seven people on a board can do by doing all these like task force, doing all these different gatherings where we can utilize expertise of everyone in this village. Because this 5 square miles of just like brilliant people come from every walk of life. And we can utilize that to our advantage to help everyone moving forward. Thank you. And yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, 2 minutes.
Great. Thank you so much to the League of Women Voters volunteers for helping put this on. It's forums like this where we get to shine a spotlight on the truth. I think that's really important. So I just want to leave you with a few observations from tonight and my last 4 years as trustee. So we don't want to turn Sleepy Hollow into White Plains. We don't want more 1960s style urban renewal. It's a failing strategy. My opponent's lack of understanding of urban planning and economic development has slowed progress over the past 4 years. We want appropriate scale, incremental development with great historic architecture that can help us recover what was lost to urban renewal and decay from absentee landlords. We need to double down on our character and history. So I help towns and cities do just that. And I bring this experience to the Board of Trustees and to my team. So if it sounds like it's too good to be true, it really probably is. We don't keep taxes affordable by racking up $100 million in debt all at once. I was adding during this forum tonight. That's because we aren't seeing EDGE get completed all at once. There's 6 to 10 more years of construction left. It takes time to build big projects. So we can make all the investments we need in a thoughtful, incremental way, not overpaying because we don't know construction, seeking grants before we ask taxpayers to pay more than they can afford. So let's get this done in a smart way. So I chose to invest right in the center of this village because I believe in its future. An aligned team and village staff under Marjorie's leadership will get things done. We'll bring resources to the village, fulfill our promise to do everything we can to avoid painful tax hikes and be a voice for every single neighborhood. So if you don't know me, please reach out to me. I'm always available to help and answer your questions. I'd like the opportunity to win your vote, and please visit sleepyhollowdems.com for more information on me and my slate. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Garvey.
I'd like to start by mentioning our current mayor, Martin Rutna, who is not running for re-election this year, and just thank him for putting so much time and energy into trying to improve our village. I'd also like to thank the League and the participants on this webinar for listening to all the candidates this evening. During this campaign, I've engaged with many of you that I have not previously known. I've reconnected with many people that I have not seen in a while, and I have heard many different concerns of our neighbors by knocking on doors and seeing people around the villages reinforce the case that Sleepy Hollow is, for some reason, able to attract just such high top quality people that care about the village. And that's certainly been the case with my collaboration with Jim, Carol, and Tom, and I see it in our opponents as well. But as I mentioned, for all their expertise and accomplishments, our opponents have not demonstrated in any specific detail what they would do if elected. Their 3 main priorities our safe streets, fiscal sanity, and modernize our systems. Those are important for sure, but they're missing the forest for the trees. The big issues for our village are high taxes, development of the east parcel and a parking garage on Beekman, and managing the tourist seasons. These are the big issues that the board has to focus on, while our village administrators have the resources to do the work of operating the village. We have since August been publishing weekly newsletters on all the most important relevant village topics that the board should be focusing on, with details and specifics on a 5-year forecast for residential property taxes, a plan to improve parking in downtown development, and innovative proposals for how to better manage and monetize Halloween. We have outlined the important capital projects with a history and the overview of the LDC and the importance of completing the Sleepy Hollow Common. And we have not hidden from the voters these challenges. Listening to both sides, it is clear that our team is ready on day one to address these big issues. We will be ready to assume our duties and implement the policies that we have communicated during the campaign. So please vote on November 4th so we can unite Sleepy Hollow.
Mr. Andruss.
Sure. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Susan. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you to the League for running this forum. I guess I have the pleasure of speaking last here. So I'll leave you with this, everyone. Think about the true colors of the candidates and the teams. Stated another way, what I'm saying is, who can you trust? All right. One of the teams today said the word I and we over and over. And the other team, the Unite Sleepy Hollow team, focuses on you. That's what this is all about. It's about you. It's about the voters. It's about the residents. It's not about us. We are your neighbors, and our only agenda is what you ask of us. We ran our campaign the best we could. We explained our values and our priorities. After speaking with folks in every community, we believe that we are aligned. We have heard your priorities. Jim just mentioned them, but I'll say it again. Manage taxes, fix parking, and keep us safe. Our endorsement by the police department, by the Police Benevolent Association, proves that. Now contrast that with the other side. From the start, their priority has only been to attack us, to launch petty attempts to sidetrack our campaign. They will put your safety at risk by opening your streets to commuters. They will focus on pet projects like buying 64 Beekman Avenue ostensibly for parking, and yet there's no driveway. They fearmonger with absurd suggestions about bankruptcy, utterly false and not backed up at all by our audits or our credit rating. We have real vision, your vision, with real ways to achieve it. Remember, this election is about you and your priorities. Unite Sleepy Hollow listens to you. The other team insists you listen to them. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to all the candidates for trustee, and thank you to the candidates for mayor who we spoke with earlier tonight, and to all the participants who have stuck with us till 8:35 amidst some technical difficulties getting us started late. Please remember to vote on Tuesday, November 4th. Early voting is underway. You can vote early. That ends November 2nd. You can also vote by mail if you need to. You can go on to the Westchester County Board of Elections website and download an application. If you need any assistance with any of this, the Board of Elections can help you. The League of Women Voters can help you. Please check online with the county for locations, times, and vote by mail instructions. You can also check vote411.org for voting information to make sure you're registered and see what else is on the ballot. There is one statewide proposition relating to an upstate forest preserve on the ballot. So just so everyone is aware, again, thank you to everyone, and we hope to see you at the voting booth.